And I keep getting sidetracked when I try to tell these stories. It's actually very exhausting for me to go back to the past. But these beings were trying to get me to see the bigger picture overall. They were teaching me, and I was listening. What they were saying made so much sense to me. I was learning the basics of physics. I was learning about following my passions, following my bliss. I was so depressed at that time. I was depressed most of my life, but I felt very lost. They told me to focus more on my passions. And I cared less and less about the demons attached to my ex and whatever he was. I was kind of less interested in it because it was like I was meeting his demons every night. Just like, oh, you again. Let's watch a movie. You know, let's not be toxic to each other. Let's just chill. And I noticed horror movies brought out his demons to the point where he was possessed. I'm just hanging out with these demons. I'm just letting them exist as they are. And I was like, thinking in the morning I'm gonna have a normal day. I'm not gonna focus on E.T.s, I'm not gonna focus on demons. I'm gonna focus on myself and my passions. Because that's what they are asking me to do. They're telling me that this works. This is the formula, this is the secret, this is the key. Follow your joy, follow your heart, follow your bliss. So, I was ignoring all the paranormal activity around me. I was just like, I'm done. I'm done being afraid of this. I'm done living in fear. This is nothing to be afraid of. I've already met the demons. I've already met Lucifer. I've already been abducted. I've already seen ghosts. I've already heard ghosts. I've already seen things I can't explain. I've already been in isolation. What is so scary about any of it? So I was just like, I'm gonna record my voice. Because I was, like I said, I didn't know anything about myself. All I knew was that I loved music and art. I liked writing. That's all I knew about myself. And that I loved fashion. I loved dressing up. And that served me well at that time because I was always going out and I was always meeting new people until the E.T.s kind of like, no, we're going to put you in some isolation because these people are not your friends and I'm going to show you why they're not your friends. And they showed me why they were not my friends. I didn't hate them either, but they just were not truthful. And I knew that I deserved good people in my life, but I was too familiar with toxicity and I was too familiar with toxic cycles and narcissists that I needed the isolation so I could experience the opposite, hopefully in the future, right? No more toxic cycles with people, only to find out I was going to be in so many other toxic cycles after him. I couldn't even believe how many toxic men I met after him. It made me lose faith in humanity because it was not one, it was not two, it was not even three men. It was more than that, where we were in relationships together and they were horrendous to me, horrendously abusive. And it was like God kept placing me in their lives as bait. He kept putting me with all of these monsters. And I was like, are you trying to get me against you? Like, are you trying to make me feel like I'm cursed? Like, I'm coming out of all of these situations unscathed, but I just want to have peace. I just want to follow my passions. I don't want to deal with all of these monsters. You know? It's like, I just want to have a normal life like everyone else. And God was like, you're not normal, though. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what you expect from me because this is a lot for one person to handle. I don't know if I can handle it. There were so many times where I wanted to die every day because I woke up wanting to die and went to bed wanting to die and I couldn't. Something in me was like, I just can't. I had already seen so much with him. I had no idea what horrors were ahead of me after him. I thought he was the last one. I thought he was going to be the last experience for me. But it just kept getting crazier. It just kept getting more intense. And the E.T.s were there the entire time. I was learning that I was their ancestor, and that they were me from another perspective. So it was me helping me escape all of these abusive relationships. So I do just want to stay in this area where he was in my life, so that I can tell this story properly, because I had some gaps in my memory and I was trying to remember everything. He went on tour for 2 weeks. He went on a full US tour with his band. And I was very proud of him. I was very happy that I had some part in helping him to successfully tour with his band. And I was extremely proud of him. But I was actually thankful that I got a break from him. And I was alone in this haunted apartment for like 2 weeks. And I was kind of afraid that I was going to get abducted again, but I was more so concerned about just being alone. Being alone. And hopefully people not seeing me and my vulnerability and taking advantage of that. Because I had this neighbor at the time. He owned this bar that was like right down the street. And him and his girlfriend were lusting after me. And they were always trying to like get me to come over and sleep with them. And I was like, I'm not interested. I thought it was really weird. And I just tried to keep my distance from him because he was always hitting on me. And he was my next door neighbor, so he knew that I was alone. And I didn't like that. So I was kind of on guard. But I trusted that maybe because he's a dad, maybe he'll respect my boundaries, you know? I really am trying not to get sidetracked. There's just so much. I felt kind of like I was shaking with fear at times, especially at night when I was alone. And then I would just find ways to self-soothe and take the edge off. And I would smoke a little weed, watch some movies by myself. I'd watch a lot of The Twilight Zone. I found those shows comforting for some reason. And I watched a lot of movies alone, and then I would also record during the daytime mostly, but sometimes at night I would record. I didn't really want to bother anybody, you know. I have a very loud voice when I project it when I'm singing. I really didn't want to bother my neighbors with my voice. Not that it was bad or anything, I'm very respectful and kind. I didn't even want to bother the ghost. I was like talking to the ghost, like, I can feel you, like, I know you're watching me, but I have to get this recording done. It's just in my heart, I have to do this. They're telling me that I have to do this. And then, his mom and his aunt text me. And they're like, we have a ticket for you for Montana. We're gonna go see him play in Montana, because he was touring in his home state, Montana. They didn't even ask me if I wanted to go, they just got me a ticket. And I didn't want to go. I was enjoying my solitude. This was the first time in my life that I had solitude. And I was addicted to it. But they took me out of it right away. I was a people pleaser at that time, so I said yes. And I was afraid of his mom. She was very intense. She was a witch. She listened to black metal music. You know, she was very supportive of her sons, and I loved that about her. But she was also very toxic, and she would attack people for anything. If you looked at her the wrong way, she would attack you. So I was trying not to get on her bad side. And then we went to Montana to see him perform